What's going on? Welcome back to Mind Your Hormones. I'm pumped to have this conversation. This is a question that came straight from one of you, straight from the community, because I do these live Q&As in our podcast community Facebook group, which if you don't know about this, usually about once a month, I'll do like a half an hour Q&A in our podcast community Facebook group, answer whatever questions are on your mind. Sometimes I get to all the questions, sometimes I don't, but this question was really awesome. And I know so many of you are going to resonate with it. So I was like, I have to do a whole podcast episode on this, which by the way, if you want to hop into that Facebook group, it's obviously totally free. It's just a private Facebook group. You get to connect with other people that are in this community. You get to connect more with me. We do Q&As, stuff like that. So the link is always in the show notes for that. But I wanted to bring this question into the actual podcast so it lives on forever and ever because it was so good. And the question that we're going to be talking about today is, what is the best way to get in cardio but not cause hormone imbalances? Because I know some of you really like to run or jog. The specific person who asked this question, she's a jogger, she's a runner. She's like, I really like to do these things. Like, how can I do this in a way that's not going to mess up my hormones? So that is what we are going to get into today. But before we do, I have to make sure that you know about this new-ish free training that I have because it's so freaking good. There are so many of you that are already in it, and I'm loving it so much. It is all about how you can create hormone balanced meals, which is all about balancing your blood sugar, which we talk about a lot on this podcast. This is actually a training I pulled straight from my course, the Mind Your Hormones Method. One of the modules in the Mind Your Hormones Method, the very first one, which it's also the most in-depth one, is balancing out your blood sugar. I took one of the trainings from there. Literally, it is now free for you because this is so important for you to nail down. It is like step number one so that you can start healing all your imbalances. Well, not all of them, but you could start healing your imbalances. Obviously, it's not the only thing that you have to do, but this is one of the most important things that you could do right away. No matter what your imbalance is, it is going to get improved once you understand and learn how to build hormone healthy meals that are blood sugar balancing instead of just getting a meal plan and not actually knowing how to do it. Okay. There's also a video tutorial of me making a smoothie, teaching you my formula for that, stuff like that. It's really amazing, totally free. And like I said, this is part of the Mind Your Hormones method. So you know it's freaking amazing. Okay. The link is in the show notes for you to get access to that. It's a game changer. Okay. Now let's get into our episode today. What is the best way to get in cardio but not cause hormone imbalances? Well, first things first is you need to know where you're currently at with your hormone imbalances. If you are in a place where you know that your hormones are really out of whack, cardio is going to be, and also with cardio, it's like walking is also cardio, by the way, because your cardio is just something that improves your heart health. It works your cardiovascular system, right? That's what cardio is. A lot of times we only think of cardio as like running, jogging, spin class, HIIT classes, like all these things, like intense cardio where you're like sweating like crazy, but walking is also cardio. So let's just like start with that. You could get cardio in by walking. Okay. Anything that really just like gets your heart rate up is going to, support your cardio. And walking is literally one of the most undervalued forms of movement possible. It supports your blood sugar. It supports your digestion. It supports your heart. It supports your brain. Like and your brain on like a fundamental level of like reducing Alzheimer's, but also from like an emotional standpoint of walking in nature. It's just like, oh, it's so amazing. But anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. But what I'm saying is, if you are someone where your hormones are really out of whack, like you have PCOS and you haven't learned how to really address the root causes of it yet. You are maybe in a place where it's like you are unable to lose weight and you have weight that you want to lose, or you're unable to maintain a healthy weight. You're just like rapidly gaining weight out of quote unquote nowhere. You don't know what's going on. You have really bad PMS symptoms, whether that's mood swings, whether it's acne, whether it's like feeling really sad or depressed or angry, whether it is, did I say migraines already? Migraines, acne, painful periods, heavy periods, not getting pregnant, having digestive issues, bloating, like any of these symptoms, if you are currently dealing with that, then it is in your best interest to completely cut intense cardio, other than walking, right? But completely cutting intense cardio, which I know some of you are like, I don't like that answer. Well, I'm not here to tell you the answer you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what's actually going to help you, because until your body begins to balance out, this is something that needs to be cut out completely, because you your hormones will not balance if you don't give it this break. And your adrenals need a break. If you are in this place where your hormones are really out of whack, like I said, maybe you're not getting pregnant, your period is irregular, you have PCOS that's not addressed, your painful periods, PMS, and all the stuff, okay? Your adrenals need a break. Your hormones need to reset. Your body has to feel safe. We all have an energetic and a stress threshold. And if your body is going through these imbalances and you're not listening and you're still doing intense exercise, maybe you're like, but Corinne, I am listening in certain areas. Like I'm sleeping good. I started supplements. Like I'm changing things I'm eating. Yes, that's all freaking amazing. And I love it. But if you're still doing intense exercises and you're still doing certain things, but you're not seeing the results and you are still doing these intense exercises, you're never going to find balance, period. Our body needs space in order to find balance. And the truth of the matter is, intense cardio like that, especially often, and when your hormones are out of whack, is just further putting you into a state of imbalance. And this is because obviously, our hormones are tightly connected to literally everything in our body. If your cortisol levels are off, if your adrenals are taxed out, which a lot of times when your hormones are imbalanced, again, we talk about this all the time, the major root causes of all hormonal imbalances are blood sugar dysregulation, your nervous system is out of whack, your liver isn't your liver isn't optimally detoxifying things. You have inflammation and gut issues going on. You have nutrient deficiencies. Literally every single module that we have in the Mind Your Hormones method, those are the major root causes of all hormonal imbalances. So when these things are going on, if you are continuously doing a lot of intense cardio, you are just raising your cortisol level up and up and up. You're causing your adrenals to continuously produce more out. You're causing your body to use progesterone to produce more cortisol, which we recently did an episode on progesterone, like spotting, how that's a cause of low progesterone. I'll link that in the show notes because I talk more about that there. But the point is, when your body has to produce more cortisol, it uses progesterone in order to do that. And progesterone is needed for you to not have PMS, for you to get pregnant, for your period to be regulated out, like all the things, okay? So you have to be in more of a state of balance in order for your body to handle cardio. And I know this is really, really hard for some of you, especially if maybe you're in network marketing and like part of your job is doing all these different types of workouts and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, it's not going to work for your body until you find a state of balance, until you give your body the space, until you slow down, you do walking, you do yoga, Pilates, slow strength training. You are not doing intense exercises that are putting your stress threshold over the top where your body cannot heal. Because what this actually does, when your hormones are out of whack, when your cortisol levels are all dysregulated, your body is holding on to fat. It's storing fat. It's wasting energy. It's not working optimally. It's not allowing your hormones to work for you because they're out of whack. And in order to get them back into whack, we have to give our body a break, especially if you have thyroid issues too. This is so, so, so freaking important. Okay. So if your body is, so you have to be really self-aware. So number one, you have to be really self-aware and know where you're currently at with your hormone health. If you know that you're not in the place that you want to be in yet, but you're still doing these intense cardio exercises and you're not getting the results you want, this is a place to look at. Okay. Now, after you're in a state of more balance, right? When you notice that your energy is improving, your period is regulated out, you're confirming ovulation, you know that you're ovulating, you're tracking your basal body temperature, so you are confirming it. Your PMS is like gone. You might feel a little tired around your period, obviously, but your PMS is like greatly reduced. You're sleeping really well. You're regularly pooping. You're maintaining a healthy weight with ease. When you're noticing these things happening, when you're in a more hormonally balanced state, there's always room to grow. It's not like everything has to be perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect period in general, but you know that you're in a more state of balance. You're like, okay, I'm definitely healing. I definitely feel so much better. This is when you can start incorporating more cardio during your follicular and ovulation phase, when your hormones can actually support it. Because again, this is why we also talk about cycle phases, is because our hormones are shifting throughout the entire month. Now, if you're someone who's on hormonal birth control, then you do not have cycle phases because you're not ovulating. So you don't have the different shifts in your hormone levels. You have synthetic hormones. Okay. So that doesn't apply to you. Obviously, if you're pregnant, you also don't have cycle phases because you're not ovulating. Also, if you're not getting a period, or your period is completely irregular, like you're getting it like 3 times a year, you don't really have cycle phases because we need to be regularly ovulating in order to actually track our cycle phases. Okay. But once you are, again, this is why it's really important to first address the root cause of what's going on. First, get our hormones in balance. First, really learn how to naturally heal our imbalances with food, lifestyle, supplementation, literally everything I talk about on this podcast, everything I teach in the Mind Your Hormones method. Like, this is step number one. Once we get to that place, then we can optimize by shifting things within our cycle phases, because we actually have a regular cycle, so we can track where our cycle phases are. And in your follicular and your ovulation phase, you have the hormonal support where your hormones are raising, they're at higher levels, specifically your estrogen and your testosterone. So you have that backing you where you can handle more cardio in those seasons. However, some people can just never really handle intense cardio. And I'm one of those people. I'm someone who I have PCOS. My body is very sensitive to certain things. Even if I take multiple bar classes in a row during my follicular and ovulatory phase, I will notice that my period will be delayed a little bit. So not every time, but it depends on what else is going on, because again, it depends on your stress threshold. If you have other things that are going on in your life emotionally, that's taking a toll on your body. So this has to be you have to be really self-aware. You have to have a lot of discernment around what's best for your actual body, not what's best for your ego. You need to listen to your body. So yes, you will have more of a hormonal capacity in your follicular and your ovulation phase to handle more cardio, but not everybody can handle an intense HIIT workout every single day or multiple times a week or spin or jogging or whatever it is. So what I would suggest is, again, being really aware of where your hormone levels are currently at, getting yourself in a place of balance. The first place to start, again, get that free training and learn how to have hormone healthy meals by balancing your blood sugar. Learn how to build them out. That is one of the best things you could possibly do, no matter where you're at in your hormone journey. So that could be an amazing step one to start getting things moving in the right direction. And really being conscious of not doing intense cardio exercises when you're healing your hormones, slowing things down, doing walks, doing slow strength training, Pilates, yoga, things like that. Okay. Then when you're in a more state of balance, we can optimize things. Your period is regular. You know what your cycle phase is. Okay. Then we're in our follicular and ovulatory phase. All right. Let's start adding in some, again, if you like this type of stuff. If you don't like intense cardio, then don't ever do it. But I'm speaking to the people who are like, but I like jogging. I like running. I like doing HIIT. When things are balanced out, when you know when your cycle phases are in your follicular and ovulatory phase, this is when you could start incorporating some of that jogging, running, spinning, whatever. I would start slow, doing it a couple days a week. You could even do it in like kind of an interval thing with jogging. Like, can you run for 15 or 20 minutes and then walk for 5 or 10 minutes and then run and then stop or whatever. Okay. Now, obviously some of you are like marathon runners and you are a runner. So this is going to look different for you. But again, it's really comes back to how else you are supporting yourself through this. If you're training for a marathon or something like that, I still don't recommend running during your period. I still don't recommend doing long runs during your late luteal phase. I would recommend doing more of the, again, strength training that is still going to support you as a runner. Again, I'm not a runner, so I have zero like knowledge on this. So, but I'm just saying this is what I would be at. But again, if you are training for something like that, and your hormones are out of balance, again, this is just something where they're not going to be able to heal if that's what you're doing. But if you are in a state of balance, you're like, okay, but now I'm ready to do a marathon. What you have to really look into is making sure that if you do start incorporating more runs, more cardio, you're watching your symptoms, you're seeing if they are increasing, you're seeing, is your period still staying regular? Is your PMS still gone? Are your energy levels still good? Are you still able to maintain a healthy weight? Like, are you still sleeping really well? Like, looking at all of these things. And then since you know this is going to be more energy intensive, really honing in, and maybe you need to sleep more, making sure you're eating enough, making sure we have these practices in place, like meditation, like taking time to set boundaries, understand our triggers so that we're not having as much of a stress overload while we're doing this training on top of it. Okay. So that was a total tangent, but I know some of you maybe are trainers. So I wanted to bring that into this. But anyway, if you are someone who's going to start incorporating this, the main thing that I need to tell you is, again, in your follicular and ovulatory phases, start slow with it, especially if you're like, I'm finally in a state of balance. I started healing. Now I want to start these things. Listen to your body. notice, do you feel drained or do you feel energized after that cardio workout? Are your symptoms starting to come back? Okay. Again, work your way up, start a couple times a week. Then you could increase it in that follicular and ovulatory phase and then back off of it again in your luteal and menstrual phase. So your action steps for this are: number one, address where you're currently at with your hormones. Get really clear, get really self-aware, have the discernment of like, okay, shit's out of whack right now. Like, I'm not going to add more fuel to the fire by throwing intense cardio exercises at my body, jacking my cortisol levels up, taxing my adrenals even more, not allowing my blood sugar to properly stabilize, not allowing my nervous system to reset. Like, really, let's get clear. Again, this is about listening to your body, not your ego. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is, if you're really imbalanced, get that shit in check before even thinking about adding in intense cardio other than walking, which walking is a form of cardio and is amazing for your body. And we have to get out of the mindset of thinking that I have to break an insane sweat, I have to do a crazy workout just to lose weight. It's like, is that working though? Because for me, when I was doing that, I was at my heaviest. I was also at feeling my worst. I was also constipated. I was also getting migraines. I also had an irregular period. Like, all of that was going on when I was doing these intense exercises. It wasn't until I started doing Pilates and yoga and walking that I was, and obviously, of course, the other nutritional and lifestyle changes that go along with it, but that I was easily able to maintain a healthy weight, to actually have definition in my body, to not even have to think about it. Like, really get clear on, is this just a societal norm that I'm thinking I have to do this in order to maintain a healthy weight, or in order to lose weight, or in order to not be lazy or whatever? Or is this just something that like I actually do enjoy doing? Because some of you just might enjoy that type of cardio. And I want you to know, you don't have to cut it out for forever. It's just when you are in that healing period, we really do need to cut it out. Once you get more balanced out, then again, that's your last action step. If you're in a state of balance, start trying to add in some of that cardio in your follicular and ovulatory phase, slowly adding up to it, and start paying attention to how your body responds. What I want you to get out of this episode is be extremely self-aware of where you're at, have the discernment to know the difference between you wanting to do something because of past beliefs and things that are stuck like in your head of what you've been told and where your ego wants you to do, and also the discernment of around like what actually brings you joy, what's actually going to make you feel good, and how you can learn how to slowly start adding more of those things in if you do like doing that when it's best for your body. So it's always about listening to your body, and this takes time and it's trial and error. So it's like, okay, I'm going to cut it out for a little bit. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to get back into balance. I'm feeling good. Okay, now I'm adding it back in. And okay, great. I did good. It was like once or twice a week and I feel awesome. Then maybe you up your like intense cardio to 3 or 4 times a week during your follicular and ovulatory phase. And then you're like, oh shit, my period changed and it was off. Okay, let me back down. It's an experiment. It's all about listening to how your body is responding, understanding the signs your body is giving you. And instead of ignoring them, actually listening to them and tweaking things as you go. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what resonated, what comes up from this. I am just like, this was such a good question, and I don't think I've ever actually talked about it explicitly on the show. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. As always, come DM me. Let me know what's going on in your world. Share this with a friend who you think could really support yourself, who you think this could really support. And I love you so much. Thank you again for being here, and I will talk to you soon.